Can you really launch a profitable mini course in just one weekend? The answer is it really depends on your experience, your work ethic, your available time, but it is definitely possible, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I do it. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Connor Boyland. I am a 7-figure copywriter, business owner, and online course creator, and I make these videos to share what's working now for me and for my clients. And you may have seen a product that I launched recently. It's called the Mini Course Launch Kit. And it shows you how to launch a profitable mini course in just 2 days using AI and a workflow, a process that I've developed over several years to save myself a lot of time and headache launching courses. So I'm going to show you the process in this video, but first I want to give you a disclaimer. The 2-day time frame to launch is not because I'm lazy, and it's not promising some magic pill, and it's not trying to offer a shortcut that's unrealistic. Is to set an aggressive deadline. And the reason I do that is because I want to eliminate distractions and just produce. And the 2-day time frame is aggressive, and it's not for people who are desperate to make money tomorrow. It's for people who understand the value of setting an aggressive deadline to get shit done and cutting out distraction, cutting out procrastination, not letting things take longer than they need to take. And I know from experience, because the first time I launched a course, it took me 6 months. And I say that's because I needed to learn a lot of things, and I did. I needed to learn how to write copy. I needed to learn how to build funnels, how to actually host a course online or create content. I needed to learn how to do all the mechanics that are required, but also I needed to learn how to discipline my mind to overcome distraction and procrastination and fear and self-doubt. And once I did, and I launched a course and got it profitable, I started to get hungry to do more and to do it faster. And I realized that I'm actually capable of a lot more than I thought I was in the beginning. And so the next course I launched did not take me 6 months. It took me 1 month. And the one that I launched after that took about 2 weeks and then 1 week. And now, thanks to me doing this dozens of times, and thanks to ChatGPT, and thanks to some very clever AI-enhanced video editing tools, I can launch a profitable course in just 2 days. But look, your mileage may vary. It really depends on your experience, your work ethic, and look, if it takes you a little bit longer than 2 days, if it takes you a week or a few weeks or even a month, who cares? I just want you to see the process so you know how to get to the finish line and get a result. But even if you're a beginner, be careful that you're not making excuses for this to take longer than it needs to take. The truth is, most people are painfully slow to execute anything. And that actually brings us to step number 1 in this process, which is to overcome your inner resistance and commit to getting to the finish line. Commit that you will launch something by a certain deadline, a date on the calendar that you are serious about hitting. The longer you allow something to take, the more likely it is that you'll get caught up by distraction or procrastination. A lot of people waste months talking about how they're going to launch something instead of just fucking doing it. And back when I was stuck in that stage, I would talk a lot about how I was about to launch something. But the truth is, most of my productive work hours were actually spent writing good ideas for maybe 10 to 15 minutes at a time, and then getting distracted by Instagram or dating apps or any of the 1,000 things on my phone. And that doesn't happen anymore because I set aggressive deadlines. I know that pressure is a really good thing. Pressure is a privilege. It forces your brain to step up and produce something faster than you might believe you're capable. And it's kind of a thrill. It gives me a rush of adrenaline and energy to know I'm launching something within 2 days or whatever date you set for yourself. And I know it's going to happen because I'm fucking serious. I will make it happen. Entrepreneurs that don't have any pressure are always talking about how they're going to launch something soon, and they don't do it. I just don't want that to be you. So that's step 1. Overcome your own internal bullshit to why you haven't done it yet, and just set a date on the calendar and commit. This is happening by this date, period. So now that that's out of the way, let me dive in and really show you this process. It is an assembly line process. It works the same way every time. I've developed this over 3 to 4 years of just figuring out how to launch profitable offers and how to make everything streamlined and efficient. So, step 1 is to choose a niche. Now, a lot of you already know your niche and you don't need my help, but if you do, and this is something where you're stuck, you're facing indecision, you don't know what to pick, go watch the video I just made on how to choose a niche. Once you're done with that and you've committed to a niche, the next steps are very cut and dried and very straightforward. First, you're going to outline your course, followed by your order bump and your upsell. I'm going to walk you through very briefly. There are certain ingredients that go into selling a profitable course. Niche, target audience, promise, as in what is the one juicy result they really want to achieve, method, time frame, proof, and story. I have some ChatGPT prompts in this course that which you can use to go through that process and kind of fine tune what your course should look like. But those are the ingredients you need to put together first. Afterwards, before I even create the course, I have the outline based on those ingredients, and then I also create my order bump and my upsell, just outlining. These are prompts for doing that as well. Order bump, upsell. If you've created funnels before or you're familiar with how sales funnels work, then you probably know what these are. But for anyone who doesn't know, order bumps and upsells are optional upgrades that my customers can choose to buy as they buy the main course. An order bump is a checked box on the checkout page. So if you've ever been at a grocery store and you're checking out and you notice they have a bunch of candy and gum in front of the checkout stand, the online version of that is called an order bump, which is, hey, you're on my checkout page, you're about to buy. Since you're in a buying mood, how about I offer you something that's really easy to say yes to, that's priced really cheap, and that is complementary to what you're about to buy. So that's an order bump. And it's basically one paragraph selling an extra piece that will help the customer to get better results. An upsell is the same thing, only it's after they've already entered their payment information and clicked the checkout button. But before I deliver on what they just paid for, I make them a one-time offer, which they can buy with just one click without having to re-enter their payment information, which is very powerful. And there are 3 categories of upsells that work really well. The first is an advanced version of the course that they just bought. The second category is something that will get them accelerated results from the course they just bought. And the third version of upsell that works really well is, hey, now that you've bought this one course and we've solved this one problem for you, there is a next problem you're going to have afterwards. So the next logical step. Now that you've learned how to build email lists, you probably want to know how to sell products to that email list. So here's an upsell showing you how to do that. Now that you've learned how to write really good ads, you probably want to know how to film them. Like the next step after, that's a good upsell. I outline all of this right up front because before I create anything, I want to make sure that everything's in order. And I want to make sure that all my ingredients are prepared correctly. It's like when you see chefs in a kitchen and they're preparing for dinner service. They spend hours before anyone shows up at the restaurant just preparing all their ingredients. So by the time they have their first orders, they can cook everything in a really efficient assembly line style. And that's how I create offers. I line up all the ingredients, I outline everything first, and then I crank it out. So steps 2, 3, and 4 are outlining those ingredients and what needs to go into them. And if you want a fully detailed process complete with ChatGPT prompts that can help you do this in about 20, 25 minutes, get the mini course launch kit. It's really good and it's super cheap. I think it's one of the most valuable things out there for the price. After you've outlined everything, I sit down and I film and edit all my content in one batch. Again, to be efficient. I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time going back and forth and shifting modes mentally between outlining or creating or editing. I want to do everything in one sitting. And so the way that I film is very much like I'm filming this video now. I have a webcam. My screen is in front of me with a brief outline of what I want to talk about. You don't want to script it. It just takes way too long and you don't have to be that perfect. Just speak from your outline. I've got maybe 5 bullet points for each video that I want to talk about. And so I will talk for 30, 60, 90 seconds. And whenever I run out of things to say on that first bullet point, I stop and I read the next one. And whenever I'm ready to talk again, I talk on the next bullet point until I run out of steam, and then I stop and read the next one. So I'm always speaking, pausing, speaking, pausing. I just crank through my outline, speaking and pausing in that manner until I'm done. And the whole thing might take me, for a mini course, which is less than an hour in length, plus the order bump, plus the upsell, recording everything probably takes 2 to 3 hours, tops. If it's taking you longer than that, you're probably making it more complicated than it needs to be. This is a mini course. You want to keep it simple and focused. The reason that's so effective is that once I'm done filming, I take the content that I created and I put it into a program called Descript. You can also use your phone to do this and use an app called CapCut or Captions. They do the same thing. I like Descript. It's just so easy to use. It's like $30 a month. It is so worth it. It's way easier to use than something like Photoshop or Premiere or some complex video editing software where you actually have to have skills to learn how to use it. Descript will just take my videos, immediately transcribe all of them into a script, which I can edit from. With the click of a button, I can remove all of the filler words, which would be any time that I stutter or say or or anything that's not perfect speech. It will remove all of that. All of the times that I paused while I was reading through my outline, with one click, it will remove those pauses and string everything together nicely. And with one more click, it will take the script and generate perfect captions so that you can read subtitles under my video, which helps with engagement. It helps people to consume content if they're reading at the same time. All of that, the whole editing process in Descript might take 20 to 30 minutes, I guess, depending on your computing power. And then I export all the videos and I'm done. Next step, write your sales page. Now, I'm going to show you some of these prompts, but they're very long. To be honest, this has taken me like years and years of learning copywriting to be able to create this for you, but I'll show you the basic formula. And if you don't want to buy the product and just get these prompts and use them, go check out minicourse-launch-kit.com. That sales page is built following this exact formula, and you can just reverse engineer what I'm doing. But this is the formula. All right. First, we get all these things organized. I kind of mentioned this before: your audience, your name, your proof, your story, all the stuff from your outline. And then the formula that we use is this: heading, which is a direct offer. I'm not teasing or leading into anything indirectly. I'm just saying, hey, welcome to this landing page. I'm selling a course. Here's how much it costs. Here's what I'm promising. Here's a button to buy it right now. And then they can just scroll down to see all the information they need to see about what is this and what's it about. The very next thing I show is proof. If you're teaching people how to make money, you need to show some proof that you've made money. If you're teaching people how to lose weight, you ought to show some proof that you've lost weight. If you're teaching people how to dance, you need to have a video showing that you know how to dance. Like whatever it is that you're teaching, I lead with proof. The reason why is because there's a lot of bullshit artists on the internet. I don't know if you've noticed. And a lot of them are selling crap. And their sales tactics are very manipulative and very indirect. Like they're constantly teasing you and opening loops and trying to get you to watch their videos when, to be honest, the best offers, the people that are dominating, that are really good at what they do, they don't need to do any of that. They just show you proof. They're like, hey, I'm offering you something. It's really good. Here's all the proof that I'm legit. I want you to trust me. Here's my results. The next thing I have is method, which is like, what is your unique way of helping people that you're going to teach in this course? After that, use cases. This is who are all the different people that your course helps and how does it specifically help them? After that, we have a hero story. You may have seen these before, but this is either the story of you, the course creator, or the story of one of your students. Maybe your best past client that you helped get a result. It could be your story or their story, but the story always follows the same format. In the beginning, you were struggling and in pain, and you were struggling with the same things that your target audience is struggling with now. And we call that pacing pain. And it's a way to build trust and empathy and emotional resonance by saying, look, I know what it's like to be you. I used to be you too, and I struggled with the same things you struggle with now. Here's what that looked like for me. It's also really powerful to say that in story form, because whenever you talk to someone directly and you say, are you having this problem? Is this happening to you? Naturally, a person will have critical filters and they won't accept that as much because it feels like you're pointing your finger at them and talking to them. But when you talk about yourself and you say, look, I don't know about you, but for me, I went through this struggle and I struggled with all these problems and it really sucked. Now their critical filter is down and they're able to feel their own pain a little bit more because you're not putting it on them, you're putting it on yourself. That's why the story works. After that, the second part of that story is you discovered something, which is the thing you're going to teach them in this course. So if you were overweight and you were struggling, well, then you discovered the keto diet or a workout plan or whatever it is that you're going to teach them. You discovered this and you learned it from somewhere. And the third part of the story is that you started doing the thing that you discovered and you started to have results. Maybe it was fast, maybe it happened overnight, or maybe it took you a long time, but whatever your story is or your client's story, you need to describe the process of starting to win, starting to have results with this method, walking your prospect towards the future desired result in their mind. And that's called future pacing. So we start with pacing pain. We end with future pacing, which is here's how exciting and fun it is when you have this result for your life. After that, you introduce the course. You've already introduced it on the page because you're selling it. But after that, you say, okay, now after getting all these results for myself, I decided to put it all together into a course, which I am now offering you. And the next step of the sales page is pitch the course. Here's what's in it. That's where you just take your outline that you've already recorded and you say, step 1, I'm going to teach you this. Step 2, I'm going to teach you this. Step 3, blah, 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 all the way to the end where they have the result that you're promising them. Optional, you can add a guarantee, which just reduces risk, and it's absolutely worth it to do that if you're selling to cold traffic, to people that don't know you yet. You'll have to offer some refunds, but it's worth it because you will convert at a much higher rate and you'll make more money overall. Emotional close, that's just where you bring back all of the pain from the story and you say, look, if you don't buy this right now, if you decide to stay the same, your life isn't going to change and you're going to keep struggling with this and this and this. You're going to have all these problems. Or you could let me help you. Buy this course. Let me help you solve these problems. Let me help you get this result. And then finally, FAQ, frequently asked questions, which is a really good place to handle objections. What are all the most common questions and objections that people might have to buying the course? Handle them all in frequently asked question format. And there's your sales page. If you want to see how this is done, just go to the minicourse-launch-kit.com and you can see it. Or buy the mini course launch kit. Finally, we're going to do the same thing for your order bump, which is very simple. It's just a small paragraph on the checkout page. We're going to do the same thing for your upsell, which I have a script for as well, which you can get in the product. And then we're going to set up your funnel and your course outline. So from there, all that's left to do is to actually take all of this copy and put it on your funnel and take all the content that you've created and filmed and edited and put it into your course platform. You may already have a platform that you like for this. A lot of people use ClickFunnels or Kartra or Kajabi or Thinkific or any number of online course platforms. Use whatever you're comfortable with, but make sure that it can do upsells, one-click upsells. That's really important for this method. If you don't know any of that, then I'll give you 2 recommendations. The best one that I've found for beginners is called Stan.store. That's the web address, Stan.store. Really good for selling through social media. I think it was originally developed for TikTokers and now it's used by everyone. Very beginner friendly, but it still allows you to do bumps and upsells, which is super important. And it hosts an online course for you. And then a more intermediate to advanced version, which is what I use, is called Drop Funnels. I really like them for funnels and courses specifically. They do that very well. They don't have any other features like email or anything, but they're very good at funnels and courses. They have a really good introductory offer. They actually built my funnel for me, custom designed it, and I now give that as my upsell. So I'm not a tech person. I'm not tech savvy. I either hire developers to do this for me, or I use platforms like this that are already done, and they have tons of really good customer service and tutorials online for how to do this. So Drop Funnels is my most recommended product for this, or Stan.store if you're a total beginner and you want the most simple, beginner-friendly, easy-to-learn platform. And then finally, launch your first ads. If you already have an email list or a social media audience, you can also send an email to that list and say, hey, here's my course, check it out. Or post on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you have an audience. But really the beauty of this method and the way that it makes millions of dollars is that you can scale it with paid advertising to total strangers, cold traffic. And that is where you would film a video ad pitching your course for anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, very short. And you run those ads on Facebook, Instagram, and or YouTube. I've done all 3. And you'll start by spending maybe $25 to $50 a day. And you're going to measure certain statistics to tell you if this is profitable or not. Now, I will do a whole nother video on this and dive into the math that's involved and how to make this profitable and how to track data and how to understand the KPIs, key performance indicators. But basically all you need to know is it's going to cost you a certain amount to acquire a customer, and you're going to make a certain amount from that customer on average. And the difference is your profit margin. And so right now with the courses that I'm selling, I make no guarantees that you will see these numbers. This is just what I see. It's costing me around $30 to acquire customers. And my average order value from all of this is roughly $70. So I make about $40 per customer. And if you do the math on that, we're doing $40 average profit per customer. And we are designing this for a mass market, something scalable that could potentially do 100 sales per day. So that could potentially bring in $4,000 a day, $28,000 a week, $120,000 a month, and $1.46 million a year. And that is profit, not revenue. If you want to see what goes into that, how I'm doing that, what is required to make those kind of numbers work, check out the Mini Course Launch Kit. MiniCourseLaunchKit.com. Link below this video. And if you want to see more content like this, like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.